This is View from the Top. I'm Modele Sharafa Yusuf, and I thank you for tuning in. Dr. Christopher Kolade is one of Nigeria's elder statesmen, not just because of his age, he's 82, but because of his contributions to Nigeria in the areas of business, academia, diplomacy, public service, and philanthropy, and of course for an enduring legacy of integrity, professionalism, professional ethics, and continuous learning. A former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Dr. Kolade's last public service role was as chairman of SURE-P, Subsidy Reinvestment Program, an initiative of the Jonathan administration. He kindly joins me on View from the Top today, and I want to thank him sincerely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It promises to be a long conversation, so let's quickly get you acquainted with my guest before we settle down to it. Dr. Christopher Kolade was born in Erroneously, Osun State on December 28, 1932. He had his early education in Nigeria and his university education at Fura Bay College, University of Sierra Leone. He started his career as a colonial-era education officer. He went on to broadcasting and was later Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, now FRCN. He joined Cadbury Nigeria PLC in 1978 and was Chief Executive and Chairman. He later returned to the classroom at Lagos Business School, where he taught corporate governance and human resources management and leadership and conflict management. Dr. Kolade was also the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of Pan-Atlantic University. Between 2002 and 2007, he was Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. He was later appointed Chairman of the Subsidy Reinvestment and Empowerment Program Board by President Goodluck Jonathan in January 2012. He's a Fellow of the Institute of Directors and the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. In year 2000, he was awarded the national honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger. The Christopher Kolade Foundation was founded in 1997 to, among other things, promote education, especially girl-child education, leadership and governance education, Christian and theological education, and so forth. Improving leadership and governance in practices in Nigeria is clearly imperative, given the many examples of leadership failure. What can we do to develop capacities, competencies, and confidence of our leaders? And what values should we be teaching them?
Talking leadership, we sometimes make the mistake of thinking that leadership is something that is reserved for certain people who end up at the top. But in fact, wherever there is a responsibility to be carried out, you need leadership. And if we look at even little responsibilities, like if you have a team of cleaners cleaning your office, somebody coordinates them. Somebody makes sure that each of those cleaners observes the right standards and, you know, takes care of what. So there's leadership at every level of responsibility. And this is the going in point when we want to develop people's capacity for leadership. Because then what I try to do is to say to people, look for the leader in yourself. Look for those things in yourself that move you to accept responsibility and to be conscientious in trying to fulfill the obligations of what you've accepted. That is the route to leadership. So if you want to develop that, first thing we have to say to people is, look, you have the capacity. Now, develop the confidence to grow that capacity and to make it to make it effective in anything you do. And you'll be surprised. My experience is that when you bring people to that level of perception of their own leadership, most people live up to expectation.
Let me ask for your assessment of President Buhari's first 100 days in office. How would you rate him on the three main platforms on which he rode to office? Fight against terrorism, improvement of the economy, and anti-corruption.
One of the handicaps that we have embraced to ourselves is that we build up expectations. Now, if expectations are going to be fulfilled, then all of the parameters for building up the expectation must be in place. In other words, if the president says he's going to fight corruption, then the necessary weapons for fighting corruption must be in place. How is he going to do this? He has at his beck and call a civil service, a public service, which has been in existence for some time. And therefore, even when the corruption that he's going to fight was taking place, that public service was there. He's going to use the same public service to fight the corruption. So something has to change. Now, he also has us, the people on the outside. We're not in government, we're not in public service, but many of us are participants in corruption. If we didn't make demands on leaders that are outside of what they should do, they probably wouldn't do them. So fighting corruption is not a one-man battle. He first has to make sure that we ourselves are willing to make the change. And so these days when people talk to me about President Buhari's first 100 days, is he fighting corruption and so on, I ask myself, I say, we prayed for change. Change was the platform. And we thought change meant the leaders must change, public service must change. How about ourselves? Have we changed? So you see, in assessing 100 days, I will do so not just on what the president has done, but also on what we have willingly done to support the change that we were looking for. Now, I don't think we've done enough. I think many of us are still doing exactly what we did before. And if we don't make the change, why should we expect any improvement? So he has the responsibility of leading, of articulating where he wants us to go. And I think he has done well on that. He has told us what he wants to do, what he thinks the changes should be. But the only place where I really have a problem is that not enough emphasis has been put on the fact that people must change. And therefore, all the things we used to do that led to things that tended towards corruption must also change.
We have to take a break now. We ask that you please join us again after this short break.